Hi, live people. Oh, I was not prepared for this at all. Here we go. We can go ahead and press record. Okay. Hey, welcome to the Death of a Dream podcast. That's right. I don't remember how we start this show, but I can tell you with absolute certainty the COVID cover that I have been laying under for the last at least week, if not more. It's hard to really know how long I had COVID or, exactly when it started. But I can feel the lift of that blanket come off today. I woke up this morning. I just felt so much better. I felt like I could take deep breaths again. Even right now, as I'm getting excited, I can still feel a little bit of shortness in my breath, but nothing compared to what it's been the last week or so. I also just I felt extra energy. Maybe I could do a dish or two. Maybe I could take the laundry downstairs. These are all things that seem super simple and realistic. And for the last week and a half, even just sitting up to write things down in my journal has been impossible. Actually. And so I feel amazing. I actually thought for a little bit, maybe I'll come on and just yell and scream at everyone because I actually have energy to do it. Hopefully you're noticing the drastic difference in just the energy infliction of my voice, because I know how monotone and how sad and tired my voice has been sounding, because I didn't not only did I not have the energy, but I didn't have the breath to be that person. So I appreciate you sticking with me. I really appreciate you hanging on through real low moments when we, even lost internet for brief periods of time. I don't know what all happened. We'll go ahead and just chalk all that beautiful stuff up to COVID, and we'll move on and pretend like it never happened. Just kidding. It happened. We've all been impacted in one way or another. So we can't pretend, but we can feel better about today, right? And hopefully none of you have to deal with COVID and all the craziness that goes along with it. It's more. It's more than flu. There were days where I was just confused, where my brain could not even think or read or do anything. I don't know. I've never been sick like that before. It's hard to compare it to anything because of the mental tax that it had. Yeah, it was really weird. The fogginess was weird for me. I don't know. Okay, but that's enough on the COVID update. We're good. We're better. Hopefully no one else in my household will come down with it. But you just never know. You really don't. So, feeling blessed for me feeling better, and for my family feeling better as well, just in mom can cook and clean now. This is better. Jordan did a great job. A really great job. But there's something very different about getting to hug and cuddle with a mom and getting to have a meal cooked by mom. Not that I'm a great cook, because I'm not, but it's not frozen pizza and chicken nuggets. And so it will be a little bit different world that we'll live in from here on out. So thankful that hopefully that's beyond us. I do not want to contact it again. We will be changing our lifestyle for a little bit, if not for a long bit, because I don't want anyone in my household to contact that again or to give it. I can't even tell you about the the guilt that I have from like, I don't know, when did I give this to people? Did I give this to people? Is this my fault? What if they get really sick? I mean, just, it's crazy, right? So let's all just do ourselves a favor, pull out for the rest of the year just to be safe and try to figure out how to live life a little bit differently from here on out. Okay. So my great thing from yesterday, oh my gosh, I sat up winning. I sat up. I felt like I could understand things that I was reading. I felt like I could trust myself to write down schedules in my planner. And this all seems crazy to be saying, but like mentally, I was so not in a place where I could do any of those things. And like that, now that I'm like really tracing this back, that mental side probably started happening 2 weeks ago, but I guess I don't know. I don't know. To be mentally foggy isn't really a symptom, I guess, that I would attribute to anything. So, anyways, just weird. It's the weirdest sickness I've ever had. So yesterday I sat up, I did things, I emailed, I caught up on work that I've been needing to catch up on, and it felt great. I don't suppose that it will stop feeling great anytime soon just because of like the lowness of the place that I've been in for the last 2 weeks. So that's my great thing. I don't know. That's a big deal to me, especially considering everything. So go ahead and take time for yourself. Recognize yourself for your own greatness. Trust me, it has to happen. If we don't start doing it, we aren't going to get good at it. And I just want you to start practicing because I don't know, every single listener that I've talked to lately or ever is on a projection path to do great things. And so this is why this is important. This is why when you're going to change the world, you have to be able to speak to how you changed it in a great, confident manner. And that's why this practice is so essential. That's why it's so important to you. You have to do it. Okay. Just do it. I'm not going to tell you anymore. Okay. Okay. So let's dive all the way in. Today we are talking about the power of projection. And I don't know. I'm just like more than anything, I'm mad. Because for longer than I like to think about, and really for probably, I'll say that I was still holding on tight to this at the ripe old age of 31. But like the power of people projecting their own fears on you can control and run your life. And it ran mine completely. I know the exact impact moment. When someone told me that I had to be really smart to be a doctor, that moment was someone just projecting their own fears or someone projecting, something that someone told them that stopped them from dreaming. And I was too ripe and young, being 7, to really take that in and realize that that's just them. Like that doesn't have to be my interpretation. And they're really just projecting, right? So then guess what? You'll never believe this. Let me tell you, this new energy source that I have found, which is called not having COVID anymore, has really drastically changed my life because today, I even looked up something on the internet before I came on here. Yep. So we're finding out what projection is according to this psychology report. But what does projection actually mean? According to Karen R. Koenig MDEDLCSW. Projection refers to unconsciously taking unwanted emotions or traits you don't like about yourself and attributing them to someone else, right? And so when you think about that, when people are coming into your life and they're saying things to you, especially things that are hurtful or things that are going to hold you back from your dreams, think about where that's coming from. And so many times the thing that stops us is this idea, right? Is this fact, this knowledge that is probably based off of someone projecting their own unwanted traits or their own fears. And so the fact that I pretty much changed the outcome of my life because of this one person's projection scares me, right? Because here I sit as someone who really is intrinsically motivated, really has always had this goal, inertia, movement, optimism that I can't even explain, all rolled up in a ball that can roll forward and roll over anything. And I had let someone's projection completely stop me at a really early age, before I even knew anything about myself. And so my fear, as I continue talking to more people who have experienced things like that, as I continue talking to more people who come from similar backgrounds to mine, very similar experiences come up over and over again. And so maybe a lot of us have this projection that has sort of guided our life to the place that we're in now. Maybe a lot of us are being held back by the projection of generations of people who have been hurt by projections of the generations before them. And so it's kind of like I don't know, sort of reminds me of, a really great way to keep everybody perfectly placed in their place. And we, in small towns, in these middle class episodes of the world, we have a really, really strong generational gravitation that keeps people pulled back in, right? And so that's what's scaring me today. As I'm thinking about projection and I'm thinking about how it took someone who was fiercely going after things at a real early age and just completely derailed that motion. When I think about that, I think about how many people don't have similar traits to mine, won't overcome that, and will live a life that's unfulfilled. All because one person decided that they were going to project their own fears on you. And so today, as you start to process what I'm saying, I want you to really think back. Where have projections or opinions, and it's not yes, at some point you have to just get beyond what people think about you and keep moving anyways. Trust me, when I left my job, people went nuts and it really made me mad, and I just had to get past it, right? But I think what I didn't do was let it derail me, but also let it change my path. And what I didn't do was chalk it up to them projecting on me, right? Their own fears, their own thoughts about what would stop them from doing something like that. And when I think through even just that recent experience, and I think through the specific things that were said to me, I know that those were projections. I know that those were things that people feared for their own selves. And so they were just putting that on me, right? And it could have stopped me, no question, because I definitely had some super powerful people say some super scary stuff. And I wanted to stop because I'm just oh no, this person actually knows. The other Joe Schmoes who are saying shit, I don't care. But this person knows, and now I'm scared. And I'm not, right? I can't be. Because once you switch what those things are, right? Once you switch the meaning of what people are telling you over to that, right? Either it's out of love and protection, or it's out of projection. And so anybody that falls into those two, the love and protection people, bless their hearts. You may just have to avoid them for a while. The projection people, we just have to let that go, right? And realize that they're trying to stop us out of the reasons that stopped them, right? And that's kind of a big leap to make. But today I want you to start tracing that back. Where have those projection points stopped you? Right? And sometimes the people who love us do this to us as well, right? They're like really good at it because they actually have traits, in our DNA sometimes, that they have personal experience with. And so they can really project hard because they know that you have those traits and they've experienced them. And so projection and protection in those instances can make those seem even more severe. But once we find them, I think sometimes we find the things that are true to our heart, the things that we know. When I think about being a doctor, I find it funny because no, I am not meant to be bedside. But are there other ways for me to be a doctor that still makes sense, that still complete that urge that I had as a 7-year-old? Yeah, absolutely. And so does that dream even have to die? Right? And that was like the initial one. And definitely if I had been given the non-fear, non-projection path at that moment, it would have drastically changed where I took my life, right? Because I would have actually allowed myself permission to believe that I was intelligent, to believe that this was an acceptable path for me, and I wouldn't have been recovering and shielding myself from taking any risks that would acknowledge that I was, in fact, intelligent, because I was told I was too dumb at 7. And so forever since 7, right, I've just been trying to fit in that path. Now, no question, I definitely have a different set of intelligence, right? It's not a traditional sense as much as I want it to be. But that doesn't mean that I'm not capable of achieving those things, right? People are going to come in and try to stop you. That's what I'm going to tell you. They are. And so much of that energy that they're using to stop you, to slow you down, to get you bent up, caught up, all stuck up in your head is because those things stop them. And they don't have to stop you, right? You don't have to be held back by those same things. You don't. I am telling you right now, if you can just show up consistent, not even good, not even outstanding, just consistent, just continuing to go back, just continuing to practice, to focus, to learn, to move, just continuing to move forward. And I know you're going to take 3 steps back, but I want you to keep moving forward, and you're going to get knocked out and you're going to take 12 steps back, and you're going to wonder why you ever started, right? And your numbers are going to falter, or you're going to get a bad grade, or you're going to, fill in the blank. You're going to fail, I promise you. All I can tell you is if you keep showing back up, that will serve you beyond anything else. Keep showing back up in the pursuit, in your willingness to continue chasing this dream, in your willingness to get there no matter what it takes, in your willingness to believe in yourself beyond anyone else, beyond anything else, to believe and call that into fruition. And I am telling you, no question, all day long, if you continue moving forward in the pursuit, it will happen. I don't know how. I don't know when. But if you are authentically chasing the things that you want and you don't allow yourself to get distracted by other people's projections of their own fears, right? Because that's what'll happen. All of a sudden you'll start going down this path, and my path is a drastically different path than what a lot of people in my industry take. And so I could talk to a lot of people who would guide me towards something else, who would guide me and possibly project me into a safer instance, into a different industry, into a different path, right? But I can't get anywhere following some other path unless it's true to me. And so it's great. It's great to have those people, but at the end of the day, you have to protect yourself from the projection of other people. And so if they say to you like, yeah, you could totally do that business plan, but it's probably, you probably won't be able to make very much money, or you probably won't be successful because it's really hard to start a business that way, right? So that's either coming from this place of they were scared of doing it that way, and so they're trying to guide you from right, their own projected fear. They're projecting that on you, or they failed and they didn't keep going. And this is what I can tell you: if you continue past that fail point, because you're going to fail, it's inevitable, you're going to fail, you're going to fall, you're going to lose. I just answered phones for an insurance company for like 3 months straight. I would say, if I averaged it, probably around $5 to $8 an hour. Right? But it doesn't matter. Right? Because it helped me to chase this goal, to still bring in a form of income in the way that I wanted to do it, right? As an independent contractor, as someone who owned their own business. And so it made sense. And it helped bridge that gap before I could land something that's even better in alignment than that, right? And so here's the thing. You can't just give in. So I could have, taken the advice from all the people who definitely told me that I was crazy when I left my job, that this isn't the right time. Wow, what a brave time to be building a business. Like, I know, Karen. I know. Right? I could have taken all those projections and I could have held them in and let them stop me. But I knew exactly what my plan was. I knew exactly what my timeline was for what needed to happen and when. And so I just kept moving forward, trusting that it was all going to happen, right? And that's not moving forward, praying, asking for signs, not doing anything. That's, like the reason that the phone opportunity had to happen was because I had to be here at this desk, figuring out what we were going to produce for content, figuring out how we produced as much as we did, when we needed to put it out, how we did that, making contacts with people who could be interviewed for the podcast, making sure that work continued, making sure that we continued to talk to people, to drop into different groups, to like really present some inertia towards this movement. And, right, we're only just beginning that. But because of that consistency, right, because of that movement, people who early on just, Hannah's doing a podcast. That's cool, right? Those people who realized that it was still happening, after a year, after knowing that it happened, now are coming back, right? Now are falling in line. Now are saying like, oh, wow, this is really cool. I'm so glad that you're doing this. Wow, thank you, whatever, right? Some of them aren't saying, some of them rightfully so should be saying, wow, not sure why you did this, but it's interesting to listen to. Which is fine too. But at the end of the day, you can let every single thing that people tell you stop you. Trust me, I did. Trust me, the first person who said it to me completely derailed and deranged the entirety of my life, right? Or in some like weird Truman, oh my gosh, I need to watch that movie, by the way. In some like weird ways that the world works, right? This is all playing out beautifully. This makes perfect sense. My life as the like cadaver to this experiment makes perfect sense for what I'm talking about, right? And when I first started, when I was writing this in my book, when I first started, I really thought that the death of my dream was the fact that I didn't go D1. Right? And then I really started to look into it. Then I really started to look at those impact points where my life had changed based on things that were said to me. And I really started to dive into that. And I realize, as I'm dissecting my own life, that the death of my dream wasn't at 19. In fact, it was at 7. And that moment at 7 told me that I didn't get a say in my life, therefore projecting me into this whole different world where I was just signing up and raising my hand and signing up and raising my hand and hoping that someone would call on me, right? And never really taking the reins on my own life. And now I've talked to enough people to know that this is like a very common phenomena, especially in this sort of middle class, and maybe it's not a Midwest thing, maybe it's just a middle class thing. I don't know. That's what I kind of want to figure out and research a little bit more. But maybe it isn't just me. Maybe other people experience that. Maybe other people have been living their lives according to what other people told them. Maybe other people have allowed the power of projection to own their lives as well. And maybe we can all start bringing ourselves back to our own truth, to our own energy, and start living life on our terms. Because we've been hurt and projected on and misguided and led directly to a life that feels so unaligned with who we're supposed to be, with the frequency in which we want to show up as. We don't have to be ran by them, right? We don't have to let those things hold us back anymore. As soon as we let that go, we kind of release the latch of what was holding on to us. As soon as we just chalk that up to projection, it lifts a significant weight off of that experience and allows us to realign with our own energy and with our own version of what is alignment. See, we don't have to be owned by those moments anymore. We can let them go. Most of them are based on projections. As always, you're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do? Change the world.